יש מפרש לבן באופק, מול ענן שחור כבד, כל שנבקש לו יהי. ואם בחלונות הערב אור נרות החג רועד, כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו יהי, לו יהי, אנא לו יהי, כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו יהי, לו יהי, אנא לו יהי, כל שנבקש לו יהי. מה קול ענות אני שומע, קול שופר וקול תופים, כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו תשמע בתוך כל אלה גם תפילה אחת מפי, כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו יהי, לו יהי, אנא לו יהי, כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו יהי, לו יהי, אנא לו יהי, כל שנבקש לו יהי. ואם פתאום יזרח מאופל על ראשנו אור כוכב, כל שנבקש לו יהי. אז תן שלווה ותן גם כוח לכל אלה שנאהב, כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו יהי, לו יהי, אנא לו יהי, כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו יהי, לו יהי, אנא לו יהי, כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו יהי, לו יהי, אנא לו יהי, כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו יהי, לו יהי, אנא לו יהי, כל שנבקש לו יהי.
על מקומו יבוא ושלום. May this loved human finally find a place of peace. These words we say at every Jewish burial as we returned our loved ones from dust to dust. Find a place in this moment in the juxtaposition of the dust of the tunnels that we now know, our loved ones, our community members were present in, as they are now returned to the dust, the earth, the soil of the land of Israel. We gather here today in love and in remembrance, in sorrow, in horror, and in honor of holding close and in our hearts the memories of Ohad Ichlomi, Shlomo Mansour, Yitzchak Elgaret, and Tzachi Idan. Their names, their stories, their faces, forever woven into the fabric of our lives. And though their physical presence is no longer with us, we know that their legacy endures in the hearts of not only those who knew them, but those who know them now and carry their stories in their hearts. Each of these men carried with them a light of kindness, of courage, of laughter, of unwavering dedication to family and friends and community. They were sons and brothers, friends, parents, souls who lived with a purpose and who touched the world in unique and profound ways. Today, as we gather to remember them, we do not merely recount their loss. We gather to reaffirm the beauty and the meaning of their lives. We gather with the prayer that they have found a place of peace, that their lives were tragically and horrifically taken, but not for nothing, for a way in which we can all come together and pray, not only for peace, but for justice, for the entirety of our hearts, for what it means to be a community means to mourn together, to gather together, to cry together, and to continue living together in honor of those we've lost. We'll continue with a poem from Chana Yerushalmi.
To receive our dead. To receive our dead. How do we prepare to receive our dead? With stones from Jerusalem in our pockets, anchoring us, with red anemones in our hands and a knife wedged in our hearts, with murmurs of ancient laments on our parched lips, as we drag our feet with halted steps to receive those dear souls, because not a single one of us wants to face this news. How do we prepare to receive our dead? With numb spirits, fragmented for months, with our right hands lost and withered, with our left hands wiping at our infinity of tears.
As we hold those words in our hearts, we invite you, if you didn't on your way in, on your way out, to gather a few stones and place them into the larger vase, the larger urn. Those stones, while not Jerusalem stone, will be taken to Israel to be placed on the graves of those who are being buried this week and last week and continue, by way of marking the fabric of community, the strength of community, the way that we hold one another, the way that one sweet day we continue to be holding one another, knowing that these stones represent the eternity of memory.
Sorry, I never told you all I wanted to say, and now it's too late to hold you, 'cause you've flown away, so far away. Never had I imagined living without your knowing you hear me. It keeps me alive, alive. And I know you're shining down on me from heaven, like so many friends we've lost along the way. And I know eventually we'll be together one sweet day. Darling, I never showed you, assumed you'd always be there. I took your presence for granted, but I always cared, and I miss the love we shared. And I know you're shining down on me from heaven, like so many friends we've lost along the way. And I know eventually we'll be together one sweet day. And I know you're shining down on me from heaven, like so many friends we've lost along the way. And I know eventually we'll be together one sweet day.
Darling, I never showed you, assumed you'd always be there. These words, while not from our own liturgy, are words that speak to the grief we feel as a community at the suddenness of loss that families have felt, the recognition that this moment is beyond the moment we're living, but a recognition of all the moments that have brought us in this space, a prayer for this moment. We have a reader? We do. Michelle.
Prayer for the moment. O God, who comforts the brokenhearted, we raise our voices to you in pain and hope and an urgent plea on behalf of those taken hostage by Hamas. May those who have been rescued or released find strength, comfort, renewal, and healing in the embrace of their loved ones. May your presence be a balm to their hurting bodies and hearts. May those still held captive soon be free from anguish and brutality. May they feel the unending love of your presence and the support of the Jewish people throughout the world. May those who have been murdered by the enemy find peace in eternity with our ancestors, and may their families, near and far, be surrounded by love, compassion, and community. O God, who has guided us through flood and fire, through darkness and despair, please fill our hearts with love, relief, and faith in this chapter of urgency and pain. May the source of peace bring peace to us and to Israel, and may every single remaining hostage be released speedily in our time. Amen.
That is the prayer in this moment. Achenu kol beit Yisrael. We are one people, we are siblings, we are connected through our faith from darkness to light, in pain, in sorrow, and in joy. May all those who are being held be released soon, swiftly in our day.
Achenu kol bet Yisrael הנתונים בצרה, בצרה ובשביה, העומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה. אחינו כל בית ישראל, אחינו כל בית ישראל, הנתונים בצרה, בצרה ובשביה, העומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה. המקום ירחם, ירחם עליהם, ויוציאם מצרה לרווחה, ומאפלה לאורה, ומשיבור לגאולה, שתה בגלה ובזמן קריב. המקום ירחם, ירחם עליהם, ויוציאם מצרה לרווחה, ומאפלה לאורה, ומשיבור לגאולה, שתה בגלה ובזמן קריב. אחינו כל בית ישראל, אחינו כל בית ישראל, הנתונים בצרה, בצרה ובשביה, העומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה. המקום ירחם, ירחם עליהם, ויוציאם מצרה לרווחה, ומאפלה לאורה, ומשיבור לגאולה, שתה בגלה ובזמן קריב, ובזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן.
Achenu, Kol Beit Yisrael, we are but one family. We are but one people gathered together. As a member of the clergy, I'm often asked, how are you doing in this moment? And I say, well, I have trained, but there's no training for funeral after funeral, for loss after loss after loss, as we're feeling, as a community, as siblings. Our tradition tells us that only the closest family members are mourners. We're only mourning if it's our mother, our father, our sister, our brother, our son, our daughter, our spouse, and yet, in these last months, everyone is a sibling. Everyone is a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, a son, a daughter. These stories are ours because at the end of the day, we are connected through those threads that make us the people, Israel. And so in this moment where week after week we're holding the grief, I want to acknowledge how overwhelming it can be. That there is a tide that we feel that threatens to carry us away. But in this moment, Jewish tradition reminds us that we believe that memory itself is a sacred act. To remember, to share stories, is to affirm and reaffirm our very existence. To speak their names, to share the stories of those who have been taken and murdered, is to declare that love is stronger than loss, that the impact of a life well lived cannot be erased. The grief we feel today is not ours alone. We are but a tiny thread in the fabric of Jewish communities around the world that make up an entire people. And so we know that we are not mourning in isolation. We know that when one suffers, we all suffer. We know Kol Yisrael Arevim Ze Bazeh. All of Israel is responsible for one another. And so that deep sense of shared responsibility and connection means that in this moment, we are all close mourners. We are all brothers and sisters, friends, family, and that this pain that we feel ripples far beyond those close relationships. It is felt in every heartbeat of Am Yisrael. Ohad Yachomi, Shlomo Mansour, Yitzchak Elgaret, and Tzachi Idan were not just individuals. They are a part of our collective soul. Their lives were lives filled with meaning. They were stolen out of hatred and violence, and we mourn them not as loved ones, not as a part of a bigger picture, but as intricate threads in the weaving together of our hearts as Am Yisrael. In this moment, the grief is heavy. It feels as we've come together now 2 weeks in a row, and beyond that for the last 17 months, in this time that it is so heavy, it can crush us. But in the statement, Kol Yisrael Arevim Ze Bazeh, we are reminded that our grief is also a testament. We declare together each time we join with one another that we will not forget. Our grief this moment affirms for us that their lives had meaning and that their memory will be for a blessing. In our sorrow, we join together for strength, joined by our shared pain, but also our hope that light will one day overcome darkness and that love will prevail. Al Mekomo Yavo V'Shalom. May each of these precious souls find a place of peace. May they live in our hearts as a place not only of peace, but of strength and connection to community. We'll now share the bios of Tzachi, Yitzchak, Shlomo, and Ohad, followed by the El Malei Rachamim. If you are reading a bio, please come forward at this time.
Tzachi Idan, age 50, was abducted from his home in Kibbutz Nachal Oz on October 7th. His daughter, Ma'ayan of blessed memory, was murdered by Hamas terrorists in the brutal attack. Tzachi was a humble man who always lent a hand and helped everyone. He worked in high-tech industry and was a supporter of Hapoel Tel Aviv and loved playing soccer, volleyball, and tennis. May Tzachi's memory be for a blessing.
Itzik Elgarat, 69 years old, was abducted from his home in Kibbutz Nir Oz on October 7th. Itzik was a man of the world, loved traveling and nature, and was a devoted fan of Maccabi Tel Aviv Football Club. A beloved brother, a cool uncle, funny, and full of joy for life. Itzik was taken hostage from his home while he was on the phone with his brother Danny. Itzik is survived by his 2 children. May Itzik's memory be for a blessing.
Shlomo Assad Mansour was abducted from his home in Kibbutz Kisufim on October 7th. Shlomo was born in 1938 and survived the Farhud pogrom in Iraq. He immigrated to Israel in 1951 and was one of the founders of Kibbutz Kisufim. He was an energetic and cheerful man dedicated to giving, a polymath with a strong work ethic. May Shlomo's memory be a blessing.
Ohad Yahalomi, he was the brother of Efrat. She was our dear friend and neighbor. Her daughter, Yaeli, she teaches here in Neve Shalom, so this is very personal to all of us. Excuse my tears. Ohad Yahalomi was 50 years old. He was abducted while defending his family and friends in Kibbutz Nir Oz on October 7th. Ohad was the father of 3. He was the father of Eitan, who was also kidnapped and returned to his family. He's the father of Yaeli and a baby girl. He's a modest man. He loved nature. He loved his homeland. He loved people. We will miss him very much, even though we didn't know him. We got to know him through Efrat. We got to see the fight their family fought for so bravely and courageously, and we're very sad that this is the outcome that we're facing today. May Ohad's memory be a blessing. Thank you.
I just want to say as well about Eliat. My daughter goes to Aliyah. She's 8 years old, 3rd grade, and we had to explain why Yael, her tutor, wasn't going to be coming the following week. We said she already knew that her father, that Yael's uncle, was a hostage, and we said she's going to Israel to be with her family because they learned the news, and Eliat is replacing Yael and honoring the family and helping my daughter and many others for that. We ask everyone to rise for El Mani Rachamim. El Mani Rachamim Shochen B'meromim Hametzeh Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים לנשמות צחי עידן, יצחק איצי אלגרט, שלמה אסד מנסור, ואוהד יהלומי. שהזכרנו היום לברכה, שהלכו לעולמם בכאן עדן תהי מנוחתם. הנא בעל הרחמים, אז תירם בסתר כנפיך לעולמים. וצרור בצרור החיים הן נשמותיהם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו בשלום על משכבותיהם, ונאמר amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure, who shine with the splendor of the firmament, to the souls of Tzachi, Itzik, Shlomo, and Ohad, who perished, citizens of Israel and citizens of countries around the world, who were killed, who were murdered, who were cruelly slaughtered. May their memories be for a blessing. Master of mercy, may they find eternal shelter beneath your wings, and may their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. Adonai is their portion, and may they rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated as we turn to Psalm 23.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בנוטה שירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי שובב ינחני, ומעגלי צדק, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא מוות, לא אירא רק אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דשנת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב החסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
And I shall dwell in the house of God for many long days. That is the hope. That is Judaism at its core, that we dwell in this space, we dwell in community, we live in hope. Even in our darkest moments, we are people who refuse to surrender to despair. The Jewish story is one of resilience, of exile followed by return, of destruction followed by rebuilding, sorrow transformed into song. True strength, true endurance comes not from force, but from our faith that guides us into hope, even in these most painful of realities. We say Hatikva, this national anthem, declaring that our longing for freedom and peace never fades. Even after each destruction, we continue to build. Even in our mourning, we reaffirm life. We light Shabbat candles. We proclaim that light will overcome darkness. We light our bridges in orange as a community so that the fate of the Jewish people, our presence, cannot be forgotten. When we say Am Yisrael Chai, we declare that our people live, not just in existence, but we live with purpose, in dignity, and in hope. Our hope is not passive. It is an active force. It compels us to seek justice, to pursue peace, and to believe that Am Yisrael together will live and create a better tomorrow than today. Hatikva bat shnot alpayim. Our tikva, our hope is strong. Our hope has persevered. Our hope is what will bring us into a better future. We rise for Hatikva.
להיות עם חופשי